got? Do we need one more mic up here? Are we good? Waiting on one more. Okay, perfect. We'll wait a second. Cool. Everybody ready? Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys. So we are talking today just about, now that the temperatures are starting to drop, we just really want to let our community know about all the resources that the city provides and all the donations that we do have, but also that we're still collecting to provide to our community. So we have several of our city directors here today. I'll just go through the list so you have their names. We have Gilbert Ramirez with HHH. We have Jody Escobar with ACS. We have Chief Emily Jaramillo with AFR and Deputy Chief Cecily Barker with APD, and then Carolyn Ortega with Animal Welfare as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Gilbert Ramirez with HHH. He's getting a grand entrance, sorry.
All right, let me put this here. Good morning, everyone. I am Gilbert Ramirez. I'm the Executive Administrator over the Department of Health, Housing, Homelessness. And we're here to talk to you a little bit about what our department, in partnership with our other fellow departments, will be doing in preparedness for the winter and the cold coming in from New Mexico. So first off, I want to highlight that last year we really implemented a lot of technology-based resources for the community to be able to help individuals, and those will continue this year. We saw a lot of success with that. One of the major things we have on our website is a shelter dashboard. That shelter dashboard, that outward-facing dashboard, does show all the shelter locations in the city that are available, and we do our best, especially if they're funded through the city, to have the most updated bed counts available for women, family, children, etc. And so we're going to be pushing that out again to make sure folks know how to access the dashboard. Our partner agencies will get another reminder that it's available so that they can check that nightly to show where the capacities are, what has bed space and availability. Also, it has the information on how to make a referral and connect someone to shelters should they so choose to use it. The other piece of technology I want to mention that we used last year that we're going to carry over is that the city has the ability to issue an emergency winter alert. So anytime you come onto the city website, you will see a banner that will get triggered upon us meeting the thresholds of cold, dangerous weather outside. And we do that in a couple of manners by monitoring not only the temperature, wind chill, humidity in the air, and when we make that call and saying the temperatures are going to be dangerous, we will trigger that banner, and across that banner you will see winter alert, also with a number that we have in partnership with ACS to call if you need transportation to get to shelter. So those two pieces are really big for us in regards to carrying that over. Lastly, we'll be posting our winter plan on our website, updating that If you're not familiar, Gateway West, our former emergency housing shelter on the other side, we have renovated 11 of the 12 dormitories are complete. We will have the last one done probably within another 8 weeks or so. With that being said, new beds, new lighting, new showers, new bathrooms. If you haven't seen the facility, we're encouraging folks. We'll be putting some pictures out too to say it's a new environment there. We've added security cameras to make sure that the residents who are there are also safe. And of course, we have a new operator who's been doing a phenomenal job with CPLC. So that's just a reminder of saying we will make sure we have expanded capacity at our shelter on the west side. Now, should we reach conditions in which that does meet capacity or cap, we will then be pivoting to utilizing space here at this center. And so our staged approach will be dependent upon bed count, bed tracking, weather, and where we're at. So we are ready in regards to being able to hopefully expand an additional anywhere from 60 to 70 beds on-site capacity. If we reach our 660 max, our partner out there can easily go over 700 in regards to the west side facility. So we are prepared to look at those numbers and see what we approach in, and if not, we will launch this site as a secondary. If there's an absolute need for additional, we would look to pivot to some of our local site community center sites if we had to open that up with cots and beds. So that's part of our plan. The last thing I want to kind of cover is that we've had some great partnerships. Greater Good has done some great donations to us, hygiene products as well as stuff for pets. We don't want anyone to not take shelter because of the fact that they have a pet or an animal, or they view that as it might be a barrier to get in. So we're able to accommodate that. And then lastly, we had a huge donation of coats as well as Bomba socks. And so what we have been doing now is we're going to be partnering with Fire like we did last year and ACS to provide them with those items. So as they're doing outreach, one thing we do understand is not everyone will choose to take shelter, and that is their decision and their choice, and they're able to do that. But we would hate to leave them without any resources if they need it, and so we can provide a coat, we can provide some socks and some hygiene products to them out in the street, and we're doing that in collaboration and partnership with ACS and AFR. So we're going to continue that. We did it last year. We saw a lot of success with it, and so we want to make sure they have options should they so choose to stay in the elements during the cold time. So appreciate it, and thank you, and I'll pivot over to ACS. Jody.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody Escobar. I'm the Director of Albuquerque Community Safety. The city and ACS is dedicated to ensuring that everybody has somewhere to go in the evening time, in the daytime, especially during these winter months. As part of this commitment, ACS is prepared to transport individuals in need of shelter to safe locations at any hour of the night. Just like we have for the past 2 years, starting on November 1st, we'll start our emergency overnight shelter transportation. Last year, we transported more than 4,500 people to the shelter during these hours. So we understand that it's a need, and we are happy to be able to make sure that people are safe off the streets, out of the cold. Last night, right, we've experienced these temperatures dropping. It's important to call early, be proactive about it, and so we're encouraging folks to call. It's easier to prevent hyperthermia than it is to treat it, so we want people to be safe. We want people to be proactive about this. These overnight teams will be coordinating with city staff, just as Gilbert had mentioned. We're encouraging folks that's 4,500 people that we got into the shelter system last year, and we really want to encourage folks to take the connections. We are bringing folks here that maybe not have ever been to a shelter, or the elements were so cold that they have decided to take up help. We are encouraging the community to make those connections. We have the resources, we have the center. Please, as we're transporting, we want you guys to get connected. If anybody is in need of shelter between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m., the phone number to call is 505-651-5515, and we'll make sure, as Gilbert mentioned, that number is on the banner for everybody to receive, and we'll make sure that we're pushing that number out. And once again, that number is 505-651-5515. And we ask when people are calling the number to maybe pass on identifiable clothing that they're wearing. And we also ask for those folks to stay in the same spot that they called. So that we're not trying to find people. It's easier if you give a location, stay in the location, and provide some identifiable clothing. That'll help. And once again, just one more time, that the hours are 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. and it's 505-651-5515. And we are happy to make sure that everybody's getting to shelter in this winter season. Thank you so much.
And Chief Padamio from AFR will be our next speaker.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm going to touch on a few different things related to AFR. I'll start with the prevention side. So half of home heating fires happen between the months of December and February. So this is an important time of the year for people to have safe practices at home. So some of those things include just being careful with any heating appliances that you plug in, making sure you keep those 3 feet away from anything that is flammable. Another really important prevention piece this time of year is making sure that your smoke detectors work and your carbon monoxide monitors work. We always tell people to check the batteries at the time change, which we're approaching a time change, so this is a good time to check those. As we start to seal up our houses with the cold weather, that's where the risk of carbon monoxide goes up. So it's very important to have both of those ready to go for the cold weather. As far as our fire response, we do see an increase in fires this time of year, both structure fires and then also outside fires. The outside fires, we do put a truck in service. They'll be starting in service November 1st, specifically to address the increase that we see in illegal outside fires. We first of all encourage those fires to be reported. The way to report any type of fire is through 911 because we never know how serious that fire is, if it's threatening something like a building or something like that. We will have our outside fire truck running from November to April to address those fires. We do extinguish every fire that we respond to from a safety perspective, but there's a few things that we also do when we respond to those fires, especially if it's related to an encampment. Number one, we offer transport to one of the shelters, and we partner with ACS, and they're able to come pick up individuals that do choose to go to shelter. Sometimes, just as Director Escobel mentioned, people do not elect to go to shelter after we've extinguished their fire, and that's where our partnership with Triple H comes in, and we offer blankets and coats to people that are choosing not to go in. But again, because the fires can be very dangerous, not only for nearby structures, but also they can catch tents on fire and any kind of things on fire, obviously. They can spread. That's why we extinguish those and offer the services there. The last thing that I want to touch on that we really start to promote this time of year is our community paramedic program. Our HEART team has some programs for the community. One of them that really starts to ramp up as it gets colder and our little ones are getting sick is our pediatric bronchiolitis program. So we partnered with UNM, and when children are discharged from the hospital after being admitted for respiratory illness on oxygen, our firefighters actually follow up with the children post-discharge to help make sure that they're recovering and don't need to get readmitted. So that's a program that we ramp up this time of year. And then we have a year-round fall prevention program. We see increases in slips and falls as it gets icy. So that program also is available to help work on fall prevention with our community. So those are a few of the things that AFR is working on now as the weather gets colder. And I think that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Hand it over to Deputy Chief Cecily Barker with APD.
Good morning, everybody. Like Rebecca said, my name is Cecily Barker, and I'm the Deputy Chief of Field Services with APD. As you all know, our police department responds to calls for service as well as we're out in the community patrolling every day. And so our officers are able to make contact with the community and often come along those who are in vulnerable situations. One of the concerns, obviously, that we have as we're talking about today is the winter weather, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe. And so our role with APD is really working closely with our community partners with ACS and AFR. We also have our public service aides who are going to be actively patrolling and looking for those who might be seeking shelter or in need of shelter. And so those police service aides will be able to assist in making transports as well as notifying ACS. And so you might see an additional patrol from them as well. As AFR chief mentioned, their team is out actively looking for fires, and our department will be working very closely with them. We do have a team who will be out with AFR patrolling the corridors where we are most likely to see fires. As she mentioned, we want everyone to stay warm, but there are very bad things that can happen when we have fires. Often we see them inside of tents, and people can get injured from that, and we also have property damage. And so we really encourage the community to look out for your neighbors, look out for those who are in need, and as mentioned, call 911 if it's an emergency, or 242 cops, and we will be out looking to assist those who are in need. Thank you.
Thank you. And then one more speaker from our departments. This is Carolyn Ortega with the Animal Welfare Department.
Good morning. My name is Carolyn Ortega, and I'm the Director of Albuquerque Animal Welfare. At Albuquerque Animal Welfare, we actually take a three-pronged approach during the winter months, where we focus on the shelter in the community and also in the homes by providing them with the awareness that they need. This year, I'm happy to say that our new HVAC systems are working great. They're about a year old, so all of our pets in the shelter are going to be warm. Everyone gets extra blankets and the attention that they need to make sure that they're warm. In the community, we are increasing our patrols so that we can identify any strays that are out there in this cold weather so that we can immediately pick them up so they become a priority. We are also monitoring the needs of the people in the encampments and out in the areas that might need some more care for the pets. By providing them with jackets. We're working with community members and also our animal protection officers to carry those jackets, sweaters, and blankets so that we can keep the pets warm as they work through the winter months. In the homes, it's very important to remember one of the key things is that if you are cold, your pet is cold. So even if you can't bring them into the house during the day, we encourage you to bring them into the house at night. And if you can't bring them into the house at night, it's important that they have the appropriate size shelter outside with straw to be able to insulate those dog houses or the igloos that they're staying in outside. That will help to keep the heat inside. So if anyone is interested in donating, of course, we can use as many lightly used or new jackets, blankets, and you can donate those at either of the shelters at the west side or the east side shelters. And if you need the straw, we partner with Bernalillo County, as well as both of the shelters have straw available to you if you want to call 311, or you can call the Bernalillo County Animal Service Center. So I think that is really the key points is just keep our animals warm no matter where they are, and we're available if anybody needs those resources.
And then Gilbert Ramirez was going to show us real quick the different types of donations that we are collecting that we can show you guys, and also like what we're able to actually hand out to the community as well.
All right, so pivoting on over to the items that are most necessary. So in reality, when there are cold temperatures as well as any kind of moisture, you're at risk for any kind of frostbite, etc. So socks are really important for individuals who are unhoused, and so we take huge donations regarding that, but we also have a huge donation we got from Bombas Socks. You'll see here hygiene kits are important to be able to maintain yourself, have the items you have. And again, we had a huge donation come from the greater good, and so you'll see some of those items here. We also received every year we try and look at who our partners are, who provide us with coats as well as blankets, etc. And so I just want to remind folks, not only can we accept donations for new items here, we also continue to reach out and obtain those items so that we can work in partnership with our other departments to get those out to those who need them most. And so we appreciate that. We have a lot of folks who want to give during the holidays, also are interested in doing things like socks, coats, hygiene products, toothpaste products. All of those things can come in very helpful for us. And we prefer that the donations will come to this site and then we get them out to our other shelter sites and locations and satellites. Looks like Mayor's here, and so I will pivot on over to him so that he can speak to y'all too. All right. Thanks, boss.
All right, well, just to really bring us back to sort of the concept here, which is the same thing that we've done every year, but we get a little bit better at it. And especially this year, heading into the cold season, we want to make sure that we're essentially building an inventory of all the items that we've just discussed, and that we make sure that people know that we have various options for folks as weather continues to get colder. Now, we know that the weather is somewhat unpredictable, and so, tonight was supposed to be the first freeze. I don't know, you'll have to check with your own weather station people if that's still the case. But that's why we wanted to make sure and roll this out today. And also we know as we go into Thanksgiving, there's often the spirit of giving is something that certainly increases throughout the holidays and around Thanksgiving. And so we want to make sure that people know where they can give. There's obviously hundreds of different ways you can help people, but I think one of the simplest ways is something as easy as a coat or different hygiene undergarments, and connecting with our fire department and exactly how easily to get that through ACS and the gateway system to make sure that everyone has what they need. And so with that, actually, I think the team covered everything I had, so I'm going to leave it up to Rebecca for questions.
Yeah, I think we have questions. I know we have a lot of departments, so.
Yeah, I've got some questions.
Sure.
What does the budget look like for all this?
Yeah, so that one I can take. So we do this actually as part of our operating budget. So there's actually nothing incremental or extra. It's really just extra hours that folks volunteer for, whether it's at the fire department or it's animal welfare doing a little extra PSAs and so forth. And of course, the volunteers that are already associated with all of our departments. So there's no incremental extra budget.
So it's mainly city volunteers, no contractors?
Yes, yeah, or existing contractors.
Yeah, specifically, how many more beds we added from last year?
Perfect. So question was, how many more beds for the city in regards to the unhoused population and what we have? So again, with the renovations at our largest shelter, Gateway West, we have capacity with our contractor up to 660. Last year, we pushed that to about 720. Easily the occupancy low there is over 1,000. We don't plan to push it that high. However, we may have to go over 700. What we'd like to do is if it hits 710, we'll trigger additional beds here on site. And so with that, we would have overflow. Right now, we're preparing for at least a maximum of about 70 additional beds. So we're looking at almost 800 capacity in that network. If we have to go bigger, we need more space, we will leverage some of our other facility sites. But between cots, beds, and this facility, that's really what we're at. Every year's a little different. Last year we saw a peak. We hit about an 11-day period where we saw coldest temps we'd ever seen in over 10 years, right? So we were really pivoting accordingly, and by night to see. We were able to serve, I think at max capacity on this side with the 720 over there, an additional 82 individuals here. So we're basing it off of those numbers, and of course, if we see larger increase in folks taking shelter, we will pivot accordingly to be able to add more space.
Gilbert, let me just chime in a little bit. So just to break it down, it does depend on the type of bed. So we can expand emergency shelter beds even throughout our community center system. So we can easily accommodate over 1,000 in that way. But that is for emergency shelter. Your question about how many sort of standard beds are different than before, the biggest thing is that the West Side Shelter is now totally renovated. So it's roughly the same number of beds out there, but they're all new. Like literally, they're actually new beds, but also the whole building's been renovated. But we also have the men's shelter and the women's shelter. And medical respite is now open, and so is medical sobering. So in total, that's what, 200 more beds?
Over 200 beds. So I can speak to those programs
that are new.
Yeah, sorry, Mayor. Thank you. Medical sobering is something that we just started this year, which honestly, our team managed the overflow last year. We saw a lot of folks who actually were inebriated and took shelter. Med sobering can take up to an additional 50 individuals per night. And so we're going to be able to see through our programming that is opened here, if it's an individual who'd best be served by med sobering, we would place them through there. I think it's important to remember that our first responder drop-off area is kind of a triage area, and our partner we've contracted for that does a really good job in understanding triage and service needs, right? So if we activate the site center here for emergency overflow, they would come through that, get triaged. If they can go to sobering, we'll leverage those beds. If they belong in shelter placement permanent, we'll leverage those beds. And if it's just emergency because of the weather and it's one night, we'll be able to accommodate that. So we're in a great space this year in the sense of that we have so many programs available as well as other bed spaces. Now we'll be tracking which pathway is the actual best for the individuals that come in. So that answers that.
And a question for Jody. I was wondering how many vehicles you have available for transfer services?
Thank you for the question. We have 2 passenger vans right now.
And do you think that's enough to meet the demand that you see at nighttime?
APD is also assisting.
Oh, yeah.
You were here late, but we're also assisting with PSA transports too.
Okay, so with those two things combined, do you think that's enough?
With the combination now with APD's help, that was like the evolution from last year and what we've learned. And we're so grateful to be able to partner in kind of that one Albuquerque feel. So yes, we're gonna work. We have more data now, and we know what days and what nights are, and we can work shifts according to the needs of the community. So we're prepared. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, Jody, one more. You mentioned 4,500 transfers last year. In what time frame? From when to when was that 4,500? Do you know?
It was from November 1st to the end of March, I believe.
And just a quick reminder on the buses, we still will maintain our regular routes and pickups that we have posted, right? So we have head of coach buses, and they do take individuals out to the shelter. We have a plan in place to make sure those roads get maintained, and also in case we hit a snowstorm that they're salted and ready to go. So this transportation is in addition to the daily that we do both in the early mornings as well as in the evenings.
Yeah, are the shelters pet friendly? We know that a lot of people have furry companions that they don't want to separate from, and that could be the hindrance in getting them.
Interestingly, I was just talking here with the director for animal welfare. We had a client come in who had a cat, right? We had to make an accommodation for some kitty litter, food, as well as a little crate. So we know that our furry pets and our family, and oftentimes will be a barrier for entry, and we have a policy in place to be able to accommodate pets both at our shelter on the west side as well as here at this site. And so we saw that last year, and through our partnership, we're able to get some food, crates if necessary, some blankets for them as well. We don't want that to be a barrier for folks to take shelter.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got another one. So around 30 former and current city employees and contractors have filed suit against the city for conditions here at the Gateway Center. Have those been addressed ahead of opening up in the morning?
You're talking about the asbestos stuff?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, all remediation was completed, I think, a year ago.
Any other questions related to our resources we're providing to the community?
Chief Armio, has there been any uptick yet in outside fires that AFR knows about as it's gotten out of summer into the fall?
Yes, so the question is, have we seen an uptick in fires? And the answer is yes. So as it starts to cool off, we start to see those numbers go up, and so all of our frontline trucks have been taking care of those as they've come through the 911 system. And then let's see, November 1st is Saturday, so that'll be the first day of the truck to address them.